Hey there, HorseCenter fans. Matt and I are back with another exciting edition of the show. Matt, we are talking Breeders' Cup once again. We're only a few days out now, my friend.
That's for sure. We are doing Breeders' Cup. We're doing all the dirt races from Friday and Saturday. You'll get our top picks if you listen for them and our suggested wagers.
Yeah, and I think the dirt races, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but they would include the Classic, a Showdown, and the Distaff, and much, much more exciting stuff right now here on HorseCenter. Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the super pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
I am good, Brian. I am ready to get down and dirty with our picks for the Breeders' Cup dirt races on Saturday.
Down and dirty, Matt. I get it. Hey, we're only 2 days out from Breeders' Cup Friday, Future Stars Friday. We got a couple dirt races there. And then we got 5 big ones, of course, on Breeders' Cup Saturday, Matt. Let's jump right in. We'll start with the Classic. We dedicated a whole show to the Classic last week, so people know what we're thinking. But now let's get down to brass tacks, Matt. I want to talk about our top pick in the Classic. I'm going to let you, for a change, I'm going to let you go first. Who's your top pick in this year's Breeders' Cup Classic?
I'm fine with going first, Brian, and I will say that my top pick gets a couple stars because I'll tell you what, I can't come up with one horse out of 5 possible winners of this race that I have more confidence in than any of the other 5. But this is the show. I got to give you a top pick. So I am going to give you Improbable as my top pick. I just, his last 3 races have been so good. He's got a little bit more consistency than everybody else. That was the only thing that I had to separate him from 4 or 5 others.
Yeah, and if Improbable does win this, he looks like he'll be the favorite on Saturday. If he does win this for trainer Bob Baffert, Improbable would be the horse of the year, and he would, of course, be the older male dirt champion. That would be his 4th straight Grade 1 win. Matt, I think he has a big shot. He's one of the horses to beat for sure for me as well. But the only horse that beat him this year is Tom State Ta. And Tom State Ta, of course, only has 1 loss in his last, 5 races or so, going back to last year. And that was a pretty poor start in the Whitney and a very slow pace. Could only get 3rd that day, but that's his only loss in a long time. I think he likes Keeneland. I much prefer the odds on Tom State Ta in this Breeders' Cup Classic because he's coming off a loss. I see some similarities to 10 years ago when Ostall judiciously spaced out the races of Blame. Blame ran a huge Classic. I think Tom State Ta is going to run a huge Classic. He'll be my top pick over Improbable. Matt, why I thought you might go with Maximum Security. Let me ask why he is not your top pick in here.
Brian, I tell you, it was just, just wavering back and forth and having to make decision. And I just feel like in this field, Improbable has got more versatility, which I think is going to serve him well in there. Kind of like Tom State Ta also has got versatility. They can be up closer. They can come from farther behind. And in this field, I'm just not sure what's going to happen. Is Maximum Security going to go and knock heads with Authentic right from the get-go, which some people are saying? I don't like that possibility. That's kind of why I ended up on Improbable. And just as a note, we should mention that 7-year-old Tom State Ta, this will be the final race of his career.
Yeah, and we should also note that no horse has ever won the Breeders' Cup Classic older than 5. So a lot of people are saying that's a negative for Tom State Ta. It's not a negative for me. This is Tom State Ta. I know how good he is. I know that he is a throwback to years gone by. Horses like John Henry who were super even at 7 or beyond 7. So I'm feeling pretty good about Tom State Ta. I'm also feeling pretty good about the odds. Tis the Law is another horse I strongly considered, but all things being equal, I like older horses better than 3-year-olds, and I don't love that post position for for Tis the Law drawn down on the inside. I too, like Matt, like the fact that Improbable and Tom's d'Etat can be a little bit farther off the pace, not too far, but a little bit farther off the pace. And besides Authentic and Maximum Security, you might be talking Global Campaign and By My Standards pushing that pace in the Classic. Matt, we're going to go with my suggested wager here in the Classic, so I'm going to run that down real quick. I have a couple trifecta part wheels, and folks, I am just going Tom's d'Etat. It's a tough race. There, as Matt said, there are several good candidates for the win, but I do like Tom's d'Etat the best, and I do like, as I said, I like the value. So my bets will be a $3 trifecta part wheel. Tom's d'Etat on top. I think the two horses still most likely to be in the trifecta are Maximum Improbable and Maximum Security. Big respect for Maximum Security. So they'll be in the second spot in that $3 trifecta part wheel for me. And then I'm using everybody else that I think is a real factor in here. I'm only throwing out a few horses that I just don't think will do it on Saturday. So my third spot will include Improbable, Maximum Security again, but also Authentic by my standards, Tis the Law, and Tacitus. And then my slightly smaller trifecta bet will be much the same. Tom's d'Etat on second. I'll move that Improbable, Maximum Security needing to hit the top 3 over to third for this bet. And then again, I'll use Improbable, Maximum Security, Tis the Law, Authentic by my standards, and Tacitus in second in this one. $3 will cost you 30. $2 will cost you 20. If Tom's d'Etat wins, I think I got a great shot to hit a nice trifecta, especially if I could sneak Tacitus or by my standards, really good long shots into that trifecta. Any closing shots from you on the Classic, Matt?
Yeah, that's a good strategy, Brian, in there, because you're keying a horse that's going to have decent odds in Tom's d'Etat, and you're giving yourself a couple of opportunities to get a long shot in there in second or third in Tacitus and by my standards. In such a contentious race, you got to take a shot for a price like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a shot, and if Tom can win, I feel good about getting one of those trifectas home. All right, Matt, let's talk the Breeders' Cup Distaff. We haven't done enough talk about the Breeders' Cup Distaff on HorseCenter in recent weeks, and that's on us. We really should. Of course, we didn't know for sure if Swiss Skydiver would make this showdown happen, but hey, folks, this is a showdown that you wait sometimes years for, a showdown in the bluegrass. We got 5-year-old Monomoy Girl, a past champion. She's only had one horse ever finish ahead of her in her entire career. She's won the Breeders' Cup Distaff a couple years ago against a marvelous 3-year-old in Swiss Skydiver, who's just been everywhere, knocked heads with everyone this year, done it all this year. And she's coming off a win over the Kentucky Derby winner, battling the Kentucky Derby winner down the stretch in the Preakness. Matt, how exciting for the sport to have two great female horses like Monomoy Girl and Swiss Skydiver going at it in the Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Yeah, that's for sure, Brian. Kind of ideally, I think the Breeders' Cup people were hoping that that's how this would go, with Monomoy Girl and Swiss Skydiver having this matchup in the distaff. We've had other great matchups between great fillies and mares in the past in the Breeders' Cup, so this kind of continues that history. Hey, Brian, you rattled off a bit of the resume of Swiss Skydiver. Just absolutely fantastic season that she had. I don't know. I'm probably going to get in trouble again because I'm not going to pick Swiss Skydiver on top. I'm going to pick Monomoy Girl on top. She has just been so good in her career, so good this year. I'm picking the 5-year-old to win this great matchup.
Matt, I am with you, and fans of Swiss Skydiver, a horse who's run at 9 different racetracks this year and has beaten the boys and has done it all over the country. You shouldn't be upset that Matt and I are both picking Monomoy Girl. We didn't pick her in the Preakness either. So if you like Swiss Skydiver, no worries. I just feel like Monomoy Girl is a bit of a machine, and maybe what I said about the classic is the biggest difference here. In that, all things being equal, I do like an older horse better than a 3-year-old. I think that maturity helps. Monomoy Girl, she puts herself in position, and I think that outside post position is fine for her. She's going to put herself in position and make the run. Swiss Skydiver might have to do a little bit more early. There is some speed in here. It's tough. Maybe we'll have another Beholder Songbird epic race that we had a few years ago, but just a wonderful, wonderful showdown in the distaff. I do want to mention a couple other horses. Horologist, that New Jersey bred. Matt and I are both New Jersey breds ourselves. And it's great to see Horologist keep getting better and better. She ran a huge Beldame last time. I think she's got a shot to get in there as well. And how about the year Ollie's Candy's put together without a win? I mean, talk about a horse knocking on the door without finally breaking through. Ollie's Candy's run nothing but good races. So 2 other horses we want to mention, Dunbar Road at Point of Honor could come flying late. But this distaff really is the showdown between the top 2. Matt, I think you have a wager in this distaff for us.
I do. I have a pick 3 starting out in the Breeders' Cup distaff. That's going to be a $2 pick 3 ticket with Monomoy Girl and Swiss Skydiver from the distaff, with Magical in the turf as a single, and then I'm going to spread with 6 horses in the classic, because as I said, even though Improbable is my top pick, I thought several others had a great shot to win it. So in the third leg of that pick 3 will be Improbable, Tom's d'Etat, Tis the Law, Maximum Security, Authentic, and my long shot Global Campaign.
Okay, yeah. So we found out a little bit more about the classic there, because my long shots were By My Standards and Tacitus. Matt says, no, slow down, Mr. Zipsy. Global Campaign is the real long shot in the classic. So we disagree on that. We agreed on the top choice in the distaff. I also have a bet, and a pretty simple little trifecta plunge here. I think Monomoy Girl is going to get it done over Swiss Skydiver, even though I know Swiss Skydiver is so good. So I'm just going to try a couple $5 trifecta part wheels here. 2 horses I mentioned, Ollie's Candy, consistent as the day is long, and Horologist, the improving Jersey bred. I'm going to throw them in. So my bets will be a $5 trifecta part wheel. Monomoy Girl first, Swiss Skydiver second, and either Horologist or Ollie's Candy in third. And then I'll do another $5 trifecta part wheel. Monomoy Girl first. This time I'll throw in Ollie's Candy and Horologist, trying to get a little odds in second, just in case one of them can outfinish Swiss Skydiver, and I'll put her in third. 2 $10 bets there for a total of $20. I hope you all are looking forward to this distaff as much as Matt and I are. All right, the next race, Matt, is the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and of course there is big news that just came in before the taping of this show, so we're on that. Why don't you tell the folks what we learned about the Breeders' Cup Sprint?
Yeah, Brian. Vekoma is out of the race. It seems like he came up with a little fever this morning, and trainer George Weaver, of course, is going to side on a caution and making sure that Vekoma is okay. So Vekoma is out. The favorite is out. So I had to do a little scrambling 15 minutes before the show, because Vekoma was my top pick in the race. Even though he was posted out on the 14 and had to come up with a top pick in the sprint. So I'm going to go with the West Coast Invader, CZ Rocket, who has won 5 races in a row in California, the last 2 in grade 2s, having been claimed for $40,000 before that win streak began for Breeders' Cup Sprint specialist Peter Miller, who's working his magic on CZ Rocket.
Yeah, and I'm not on CZ Rocket at this time. Listen, I've known about CZ Rocket for a long time. He was Kentucky-based for much of his career. He wasn't really a claimer for much of his career. He ran in stakes races before, but The transformation since going out to Peter Miller's barn in California has been noteworthy, to say the least. He's been absolutely excellent, but I don't trust it. I know he can run here at Keeneland and Kentucky, but I don't trust that that absolute best will translate in the Breeders' Cup. So he will not be my top pick, but I certainly fear him off his winning streak. We also need to talk about Yao, who's undefeated for trainer Steve Asmussen and looks really good. He's been pretty lightly raced this year, but a really, really talented 3-year-old. But I'm going to go with a veteran and a horse who is as versatile as just about any horse in the Breeders' Cup. Of course, I'm talking about Diamond Oops. Diamond Oops is, I don't know if he's better on dirt than he is on turf, but here he is in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. I think he's got a huge shot. I think we'll get third choice on him in here, Matt. Diamond Oops is coming off a very nice win over the Keeneland Dirt. And he has that little versatility where he can lay close, but really be running at the end. So I'm going to go with Diamond Oops as my top pick. I thought you might be on Yao after the Vekoma scratch. Let me say this too, Matt. Sorry to interrupt you before you even got going, but I feel kind of bad for George Weaver and the connections of Vekoma. What a wonderful horse! He won a stake at Gulfstream this year, and then just ran marvelously in both the Carter and the Mets, and he has not been able to run since. I think it's a real shame for such a nice horse. And remember how good he was at Keeneland last year and winning the Bluegrass. So even with the layoff and the outside post, I too thought he had a big shot to win. So I feel bad for them. What about Yao?
Hey, I got respect for Yao, and I'm going to be using Yao in a wager that I'm going to mention shortly. Brian, 4 for 4, as you mentioned, speed. He's going to be out there running as Asmussen horses often do. 4 races all this year as a 3-year-old, packed in, I think, since maybe June or so. 2 graded stakes wins, got to be respected in there. I'm going to say a little bit more about Diamond Oops. Also got a key win at Keeneland, which is always a plus. And trainer Patrick Biancone is hoping that Diamond Oops will get him his first Breeders' Cup win. I think he's 0 for 16 or so over his career in the Breeders' Cup. Brian, should I go to my wager now?
Absolutely, Matt. I think you have a pick 5. Biancone, Christophe Clement, we talked about looking for his first win. And before that, of course, we talked about Sadler for years. Sadler got it. So now maybe we're looking at Clement and Biancone. What's your pick 5 here?
Yeah, also Kenny McPeak is another one looking for his first Breeders' Cup win. And he's 0 for, I think, 20-some. And he's got a couple good chances. My wager is the late pick 5, starting with the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Obviously, not going to be a big ticket. As I said, these are some contentious races, but some horses that I like, and it's not going to be a $10,000 payoff kind of ticket, but for $30, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to start my 50-cent pick 5 with CZ Rocket, Yao, and Diamond Oops from the Breeders' Cup Sprint, the 3 that Brian and I just spent time talking about. I'm going to then use in the mile, Ivar and Uni. We talked about those in our turf show that we recorded earlier in the week. From the distaff, of course, Monomoy Girl, Swiss Skydiver. In the turf, I'm going to single, Magical, and then in the classic, I am going to use 5 horses: Improbable, Tom's d'Etat, Tis the Law, Global Campaign, and Maximum Security. 50-cent, pick 5, total of only $30. Like I said, not going to be a big payoff, but maybe, I don't know, maybe could get $1,000 if things break well.
Matt, I like the bet overall. I noticed that you have singled Magical in both of these horizontal wagers, and I'm just going to throw out the name Tarnawa in there because I think Tarnawa will have better value than Magical, and it's dangerous. I too like Magical best, but don't forget about Tarnawa. We talked about that, of course, in the Breeders' Cup Turf show. All right, Matt, let's move to the Breeders Cup Dirt Mile. I guess it's the Big Ass Fans Dirt Mile, Matt. And this is one of the more interesting races, one of the more contentious races, one of the races that may be looking for a long shot in here, but the favorites look pretty good. I'm on Art Collector simply because, the Preakness I don't think was his very best, but I think it should toughen him up after a little bit of a layoff. He missed the Derby, of course, not much of a layoff, but he had to miss the Derby, and he ran an okay Preakness. But before that, of course, 2 races before that, of course, was the Bluegrass, and it was just a really powerful performance where he powered by the field, including Swiss Skydiver late in that Bluegrass. And I think if he can turn in a similar type of race, he's your winner. So he's my top pick, but tough race. Who's your top pick?
Yeah, Brian. Hey, fans, you notice we're not agreeing on all the picks here on the dirt. My top pick is Nick's Go, 7-2 on the morning line. I don't know. I think maybe we might get more than that. I'm hoping we get more than that. Nick's Go, has run some really good races in his in the past. In some big races, won some, finished second in some, but 2 races back, Nixco changed barns, changed from Dale Romans to the barn of Brad Cox. And since then, he has thrown in 2 absolutely huge races this year. One of them came early in the year pre-COVID, and then he had a break after that, and he came back with a huge front-running victory, Nixco, in an allowance race that earned one of the highest buyer speed figures of the year. The Brad Cox magic is in full force with Nixco. He's my top pick.
Yeah, I can't discount Nixco. He's certainly done well at Keeneland in the past as well, and a lot of speed there. I'm a little dubious how, is he classy enough to win this? I think the answer is yes, but here's one thing I'm thinking, and I'll probably get burned by it in the end, and you'll probably beat me out of this race, but both the 2 favorites on the morning line, Complexity and Nixco, are very speedy, and neither one to me has proven they could beat the best. So for that reason, as the 2 favorites and the fact that they could well be really going at it pretty good early, I'm going to go against the favorites in here, Nixco and Complexity. Art Collector was the one that made a lot of sense, although I think there's a lot of interesting horses in here. Owendale, if the pace is fast, should come running. Pirates Punch has just gotten better and better for trainer Grant Forster. And the other 3-year-old, Rushy, I know Art Collector beat him pretty well in the Bluegrass a few starts back, but Rushy, I think, is an improving horse. Remember what his sire, Liam's Map, did in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile right here at Keeneland a few years ago. And I like his last win over at Churchill Downs in the Pat Day Mile. So there's some interesting long shots in here. I'm going against the favorite. Art Collector's my choice, Matt. I think you have a suggested wager in this race?
Yeah, I do. And I'll just, a little bit more about the Dirt Mile. It's a deep field with a lot of names and that we're familiar with, like Mr. Freeze, like Mr. Money, who have run good races recently. And hey, either one of those could run a big race, and I wouldn't be surprised. Complexity, I'm a little concerned about the 2 turns for the Chad Brown runner, even though his last race was a big score. It was going a 1-turn mile at Belmont Park. Anyway, I do have a wager in here in the BC Dirt Mile, and I hear you fans saying, hey, Matt, give us one of those exacta key box wagers. Okay, here it is in the Dirt Mile. It's my key horse, Nixco, with, I'm not leaving out Art Collector. I've been a big fan. Art Collector, Complexity, Owendale. My man Owendale has burned me an awful lot this year, but I give him a chance to get second. And Rushy, $5 exacta key box, total $40.
Yeah, well, you're using a lot of the horses I like in there too. So good luck to you there, Matt. The Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, a very interesting addition. One more dirt race on Saturday, and I think it also is an interesting race, a very interesting race. The Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint. Morning line has Gamine, the favorite horse who's famously failed 2 drug tests this year, but she is a speedy, talented 3-year-old. And speaking of speed, you got Serengeti Empress, Matt. And Serengeti Empress, since coming back to sprint races, especially 7 furlongs, I thought she's been terrific, whether she actually finished first in her last race or not.
Yeah, Brian. Serengeti Empress, Gamine could be a showdown on the front end. We'll see. Serengeti Empress, I feel like the 7 furlongs of the filly and mare sprint is maybe an ideal distance for her. I think trainer Tom Amos is going to have her revved up and ready for a big performance in the final start of her career. I'm picking Serengeti Empress.
Yeah, good for you, Matt. Serengeti Empress is such a likable horse, and she is a tough mare. When she runs her best race, as she often does, especially sprinting, she's just so hard to beat. But I cannot pick Serengeti Empress in this race, Matt. There's just too much speed. I don't know that Gamine is capable of laying off the lead. I don't know that Serengeti Empress is capable of laying off the lead. Phoenician Harbor's another one with a ton of speed. 7 furlongs, to me, this cries out for a rallier. There's some good ralliers in here. Belle's the one, certainly, is the one that I think will be preferred, and she's beaten a horse I like in here a lot, Sally's Curlin, last couple times. But Sally's Curlin likes to come from the clouds. I think this race is an ideal setup because I think they're going to run so fast early. Sally's Curlin got better and better last year. I think she's getting better this year. Last time she was a little too far out of it. I think this time with the pace setup and improving in her 4th race of the year and really attractive odds. She's 20-1 on the morning line. I'm going to go with Sally's Curlin as my top pick, Matt. She's a bomb, I know, but I think this race sets up really well for her.
Hey, that's great, Brian. We need a Zipsy bomb and pick. And Sally's Curlin is a very, very logical one. And the morning line is what? Is it 20-1 on her, the morning line?
20-1, Matt, and that brings me to my bet, my wager, my suggested wager. If you get a long shot, don't be afraid to bet them to win. So I'm going to bet 20-1 on the 20-1 shot on the morning line. 20-1 in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint on the nose of Sally's Curlin. I'm looking for a last to first performance in the Filly Mare Sprint. Hey, Matt, you ready to go back a day to Friday and the 2-year-olds?
As long as we're staying on the dirt, Brian, I'm ready.
Yo, this is a dirt show, Matt. Let's do it. Hey, Breeders' Cup Juvenile. We've talked a little bit about this already. Jackie's Warrior, 4 for 4. He's dominating his competition, gate to wire every time out. Is he the one to beat in here?
Oh, he's the one to beat in here for sure, Brian. 7-5 on the morning line, and you know, we talked about it a little bit at one of our earlier shows. And you know, I went around a little bit with Jackie's Warrior, 4 for 4, and it's been an awfully impressive 4 for 4, Brian, with Grade 1 wins in the Hopeful and the Champagne in New York. Is the 2 turns going to be a problem for Jackie's Warrior? And if so, then I got to make a decision about which other horse is going to beat Jackie's Warrior. And in the end, I just thought this might be a special horse, and I'm going with Jackie's Warrior as my top pick.
Matt, I'm not convinced about what the future will hold for this Steve Asmussen-trained, speedy, talented colt. But in the here and the now, Jackie's Warrior is the horse to beat, even though he's stretching out to 2 turns, which I think does make a little bit of vulnerability there. But he's still the horse to beat, so I'm not going to try too hard to beat him either. He is my top pick as the favorite in here. But, hey, 2 turns, maybe they got a shot to beat him. I'm not going to put a lot of money in trying to beat him, but I think there are other horses in here to talk about. Sitting on Go for Dale Romans ran a big race. Next, the talented son of Frosted Likeable, Reinvestment Risk, has been chasing Jackie's Warrior. Essential Quality has a big win over the Keeneland track. So there are interesting horses if Jackie's Warrior does show that vulnerability going 2 turns. Who do you like best of the rest?
Yeah, it is an interesting field, and certainly I like Essential Quality and Sitting on Go as the next 2 possibilities.
Okay, me too. Me too. Essential Quality is my second choice in here. But again, I'm going to throw in a bomb because I think there might be horses tired in the stretch here. These inexperienced juveniles. So I could see a bomb getting into the exotics. So I'm going to kind of play this race from the bottom up. So my bets will be Keep Me in Mind. He's only had two races, but I like both races. I like the improvement he showed to kind of split horses. He actually split horses in both, rallying for second. Last time was to Essential Quality in the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland. So keep me in mind. I think will be a real long shot. I don't think 20-1 is even what he'll be. I think he'll be higher than that. So I'm going to use him. Without further ado, Matt, I got four little trifectas here. Jockey's Quality on top in the first two. They're both $2 trifecta part wheels. Jockey's Warrior over. The first one will have Keep Me in Mind getting up for second. That would be nice for my wagers if this 30, 40-1 shot can get second. Then I'm going to use a gaggle of horses who I think figure in the third spot, which of course includes Essential Quality, Reinvestment Risk, Likeable, the son of Frosted, who's coming off a nice win, Sitting on Go, dangerous horse in here for Dale Romans, and Next coming off that big win at Keeneland. So I'll use all five of those for third. That's a $10 wager. The other one will reverse second and third, so I'll get my long shot in third with the same five horses for second, Jockey's Warrior on top. And just in case Jockey's Warrior does show some vulnerability, trying two turns for the first time out, I'm going to try the same bet, this time $1 trifecta part wheel with Essential Quality taking over the win spot. Keep Me in Mind again will reverse second and third, and Jockey's Warrior will take Essential's Quality spot in the other and second and third spot with those other four horses. So those four trifectas are just $10 bets with Jockey Warrior on top and $5 bets with Essential Quality on top. Bet all four of those, it only costs you $30. I'm hoping the long shot Keep Me in Mind can get up for second or third.
Yeah, notice in there, fans, that in all of these trifecta bets that Brian has mentioned in the show, he's trying to get, and he's designed these tickets to try and get a long shot to get into second or third in the trifectas, so he gets a big price. And overall, for me, anytime I play a trifecta, I make sure that I'm keying horses that are bigger prices in there, because the takeout on trifectas can be really big, and just playing favorites in trifectas is not going to give you a positive outcome in the long run. But that's not what Brian's doing. He's trying to sneak these long shots in there with some of the likely favorites.
Yeah, and a good chance this bet won't hit. But if I'm right about the long shot running a big race, maybe he does get up for second and third. It's going to be a nice trifecta. All right, Matt, one more race to go here on our Breeders' Cup Dirt Show. It's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, also on Friday. And this is a tough little race. And we got a bunch of undefeated fillies, Matt. Who's your top pick?
Yeah, absolutely, we do. A whole bunch of undefeated horses, and separating them was not easy. But I thought that the Frizette in New York was maybe the best race that any of these horses were involved in. So that means for me, the Day Out of the Office, who was 3 for 3, is my top choice.
Yeah, and I can't really argue with you because the horse I look forward to betting a little bit was beaten in that first step by Day Out of the Office. Vequist, I think, will have some odds. So I'm going to sprinkle her into my bets. But my top pick is a different one, and also a horse who's shown a lot of speed, also undefeated in 3 races. I like the way Simply Ravishing has moved from track to track. I like the way she's been a mile 16th a few times already. I like the fact that she's won over the track, and I kind of like the fact that she drew the rail here with her speed. So for all those reasons, Simply Ravishing will be my top pick over horses like Day Out of the Office, Vequist. We haven't even talked about Princess Noor from California or Girl Daddy from the Dale Romans barn yet, now.
Yeah, that's for sure, and it certainly is worth talking about Princess Noor a little bit. I think is the morning line favorite in this race. 3 for 3 for Bob Baffert. I think all the Baffert fans are lining up behind us, Brian, because neither of us are interested in Princess Noor in this race. I think her races in California, although visually impressive, were against very, very weak field and in pretty slow time. So I prefer these other horses that have been running in the East or in Kentucky against much tougher competition.
Yeah, same with me. She's the favorite. She could win. She's been visually extremely impressive, but the speed figures don't match up really well for her. So as the favorite, it's worth taking a shot. Girl Daddy's been very impressive in her 2 races here, 2 different tracks in Kentucky. Ellis, Churchill, now she comes to Keeneland, and she would be no surprise either. Matt, I don't have any listed bets here for the show, but I think you have a couple.
Yeah, I've got a couple of wagers in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies trying to beat the Princess Noor, who's going to take down a whole big chunk of money and give some better prices in the exotics for me. One of my exacta key boxes, $5. My top choice Day Out of the Office will be used with Girl Daddy, who you mentioned before, Brian. Girl Daddy, V-Quist, who you mentioned also, and your top pick, Simply Ravishing. That's a $30 bet total. I'm also going to start out a pick 3, a $1 pick 3 with the Juvenile Fillies. I'm going to start out with Day Out of the Office, Girl Daddy, V-Quist, and Simply Ravishing. I'm going to put them with Plum Ali, Alda, and Madone, and Tetragonal in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf, and then end that with a single of Jackie's Warrior. That's 4x4x1, $16.
$16, Matt. You got a chance for some bombs in there. You know, Matt has taken a stand against the favorite in the Juvenile Fillies. I certainly respect that choice. And then in the Juvenile Turf Fillies, Matt is betting ralliers in a race that's loaded with speed, and several of them have big odds. And then you come back to a pretty likely winner in the Juvenile. So that's a very interesting little $16 bet. Well done, sir. We're done with the show, Matt. Let me get a parting shot from you.
Yeah, Brian, and hey, folks, I hope you pick out some of these wagers that we've come up with. Use our top choices, use our long shots, but either way, I wish all of the HorseCenter viewers lots of luck on Breeders' Cup weekend. And of course, I want to thank our great producer, Brett Workman, for putting together the show.
Thanks to Brett. Thanks for all you viewers watching out there. We sure do appreciate it. And yeah, nothing would make Matt and I happier than to see a lot of our viewers win big at the Breeders' Cup. So great luck to you. If you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel here on Horse Racing Nation, go ahead and do that now for us. Also, big thanks to our partner and sponsor, Derby Wars, the best contest site out here. Matt and I will be watching the Breeders' Cup intently this weekend, as will you. Good luck. We'll see you next week with our Breeders' Cup recap show right here on HorseCenter.